From exposing a habitual liar,
This is the third time he's done it. He keeps pretending.
to destroying the most infamous show host who manipulates and exploits her employees behind closed doors.
Because she parades around like she's some gift from God to bring salvation to this planet through her kind, generous acts. Which seems pretty far from the truth.
Here are 8 times evil entitled celebrities got completely destroyed by Charlie. Starting with The Rock, who, on February 24th, 2017, would share an exciting revelation with his followers on Instagram. I've never been to In-N-Out. I know, what an a-hole. But when my lovely ladies wanted late-night grub, I happily obliged and pulled in the drive-thru. But despite the initial frenzy it generated, the seemingly normal post was soon forgotten. That is, until 5 years later, when The Rock posted another video claiming he was trying In-N-Out Burger for the very first time.
This is the very first time that I have ever tried an In-N-Out burger, or In-N-Out fries, or anything from In-N-Out for that matter.
Which most people didn't make a big deal about, since he had also said this.
Now, I've picked up some In-N-Out burger before, through the drive-thru a few times for some buddies of mine. I've never tried it, so this is a first.
However, everything would change a year later, when he posted the same misleading tweet for the 3rd time. My first In-N-Out Burger experience. I didn't know the lingo, didn't know who to pay, didn't know shit, but I'm a quick study. But unlike the previous 2 times, the internet was not as forgiving. He's never tried In-N-Out like he's never tried steroids. He likes In-N-Out so much he keeps wishing he could try it for the first time again. And by the grace of some benevolent higher power, that wish keeps coming true. I like to imagine that his In-N-Out experience was so unremarkable that he straight up forgot he ate it on 2 separate occasions, forcing The Rock to admit he was not the In-N-Out Burger virgin he'd claimed to be. My first ever In-N-Out Burger experience. Again, thanks to the fan who reminded me that I went to In-N-Out years ago and totally forgot about it. Given how quickly the tables turned on him, Charlie couldn't resist ripping him apart.
This is the 3rd time he's done it. He keeps pretending that he's trying In-N-Out for the first time every couple of years. Why? Why are you lying about that? The other 2 videos are still on your Instagram page. It makes no sense to me.
To make matters worse, Charlie would expose the many lies in his previous claim.
That's such a convenient excuse. I've been through the drive-thru, but I've never actually eaten it. I've only ever picked it up for other people. That's like the timeless classic of, oh no, those aren't my drugs. I was actually just holding them for a friend.
Before labeling him.
The Rock is the fakest celebrity in Hollywood.
But many months later, Charlie would have another swing at The Rock when he claimed,
The Rock says Oppenheimer inspired him to film Red 1 for IMAX. It can be game over. With Red 1, our intention was to make a movie that you can enjoy on the biggest screen possible. Legitimately, the biggest screens possible, well, they're IMAX. I was midway through shooting Red 1. I had an opportunity to go watch Oppenheimer, and I watched it in the IMAX theater where Christopher Nolan watches and screens his movies, him and Emma, his wife. I even asked, let me sit where Chris is sitting. So they said Chris sits here to enjoy the movie. So I sat where Chris sat. I watched Oppenheimer. It was amazing. But I was thinking, holy shit, this thing, Red 1 on this screen with this technology can be game over. I remember texting Jake, and I sent him a picture first of my bare chest, and then I sent him a picture of the screen. We just had a great conversation afterwards about just how cool it's going to be. It's going to be very cool.
Which prompted Charlie to absolutely destroy The Rock.
This headline had me so curious how The Rock with a straight face could compare Red 1, a Christmas movie about him and Chris Evans punching snowmen, saving Christmas, to Oppenheimer. My heart breaks for whatever employees have to interact with The Rock to fulfill these fucking requests. Like, man, just take a seat. Why do you have to sit in the same throne that Christopher Nolan sits in to watch movies, man? Just sit there and watch a film. It just makes me roll my eyes reading something like that. I needed to sit where Chris and his wife sit, of course. I needed to wiggle my butt cheeks into the same ass creases that Christopher Nolan's cheeks graced. It's imperative to my viewing experience of Oppenheimer. It's just cringe. Bottom line is, it's just embarrassing to read that. And The Rock does this shit all the time.
But while The Rock's biggest crime was bending the truth and making cringeworthy claims, the next celebrity would go down after getting exposed for something much worse. On March 20th, 2020, the once beloved Ellen DeGeneres would become the most hated TV show host of all time after someone tweeted, "Right now, we all need a little kindness, you know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to LA Food Bank." Surprisingly, this single tweet would ignite a chain reaction. A friend of a former PA said you weren't allowed to make eye contact with her, which is just Major Jenna Maroney, "Do not look at me in the eyes" energy. My other friend works at a rescue shelter, and Ellen came with her mom. He said she kept yelling at her mother and F-word towards her, and that when she left, the whole staff was very shaken by her behavior. We'd watch her in rehearsals, smiling and winning us over with her charm and comic timing. Then the director would yell cut. Her face would fall, and she'd level a glare at the writers. "Why do you keep writing these unfunny jokes?" This put the limelight on Ellen's behavior. But the controversy was far from over, because just days later, an audience member came forward with even more disturbing details about her traumatic experience on the show.
They tell you, you can't be smarter, funnier than Ellen. She's the comedian and the star, not you.
How does the Ellen we see on TV compare to the Ellen you saw when the cameras stopped rolling?
Totally different. She would only speak to the audience when the cameras were rolling. As soon as they turned the cameras off, she would not even acknowledge the audience. She would just sit on the couch, basically.
Which was backed up by a former show producer.
We were told from the very beginning, don't talk to Ellen, don't do this, you can't, go into her office. It was very nerve-wracking, very stressful. We all walked on eggshells all the time.
Who then described her as
toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is.
The revelation shook the entire internet, including Charlie, who publicly called her out just days later.
She parades around like she's some gift from God to bring salvation to this planet through her kind, generous acts. Which seems pretty far from the truth. If a kid with a broken arm found Ellen DeGeneres at a donut shop and asked for an autograph on the cast, she'd probably slap him and spit in their face.
As if Ellen's reputation wasn't already in ruins, things took a turn for the worse when an old clip resurfaced, showing her pressuring a then-pregnant Mariah Carey into revealing her pregnancy on live television.
People are saying that that you're pregnant. There's rumors.
Don't discuss that.
All right, well, you don't have to
No,
answer.
that's okay. No, honestly,
you
how
don't
do
have to
I-
answer
how do
me.
I-
Let's just toast with champagne. You're pregnant.
Prompting another verbal annihilation from Charlie.
Mariah Carey had a miscarriage 3 weeks after this, and as you can see, Ellen DeGeneres' full kindness on display here by forcing her to tell everyone that she's pregnant through this little science experiment she set up here. Ellen DeGeneres, being the narcissist she is, has to know everything and has to feel like she's the most superior person in the room.
Unsurprisingly, even Mariah Carey herself probably agrees with Charlie's statement.
Ellen did that to me and tried to put me on the spot with some alcohol.
Okay. I'm not
Real
trying to-
alcohol.
The fact that she never apologized to Mariah for outing her pregnancy, even after she miscarried, tells me everything I need to know about the type of person she is. Despite issuing an apology 2 months later, the repercussions were far greater than she imagined, as she lost her talk show, a lucrative brand deal, and her reputation as a kind and generous host. However, while Ellen became the internet's most evil villain, the next celebrity couple would become the biggest laughingstock in the entertainment industry. Will Smith and Jada's unhealthy marriage dynamic first caught Charlie's attention after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the 2022 Oscars.
I'm not ashamed to admit it, I've been glued to everything involving Will Smith over the last couple weeks since his slap at the Oscars.
But despite the storm of public humiliation and backlash Will Smith faced, Jada, in a bid to shift the narrative and win public sympathy, would claim that she and Will Smith had been separated for the past 8 years.
2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
Right.
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
Yes.
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
A claim which Charlie would instantly demolish.
You're telling me you guys actually split up in 2016? So he just sunk his career like the Titanic over his ex-wife? But then if that's the case, why would he say, keep your wife's name out of your mouth? Right? Like, that's just not adding up. I feel like she's just making this shit up. And it feels like every opportunity she has to hurt Will publicly, she pounces on with a smile on her face.
The final blow would be when netizens dug up a recording where Jada could be heard declaring her undying love for rapper Tupac.
That was a huge loss in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because he was one of those people that I expected to be here. And my upset is more anger. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel that He left me.
She openly talks about how she preferred her previous relationship to Will, though she doesn't use that language. It makes it very clear with some of the things she's posted that she was happier before Will. It's just brutal. It's like being married to your biggest Twitter hater.
But while Will Smith and Jada lost all the respect they once enjoyed, the next celebrity would come under fire for something far more appalling. In February 2020, Wendy Williams was seen mocking the tragic passing of Drew Carey's ex-fiancée, Amy Harwick, after she was unalived by a stalker.
She was killed not by Drew, but by the ex. Come on down. Why are you putting allegedly? This story is everywhere. All right, lawyer lady, she threw allegedly in there.
Naturally, the internet was outraged by her jaw-dropping lack of empathy. Has this woman ever lost someone important to her? Someone got tragically murdered and she tries to make a joke out of it? Imagine being that disconnected from reality. What a narcissist. Unsurprisingly, Charlie didn't hesitate to call out Wendy for her blatant insensitivity.
Come on down is an iconic line from Price is Right, and I guess her joke was she fell to her death. Come on down. Wow, Wendy. That's really something special you've got there. You sick fuck.
However, while this outrageous behavior generated a lot of hate and intense backlash at the time, Wendy still looks like a saint when compared to the next celebrity on our list. Despite years of dark rumors and allegations, Diddy's reputation would be put to the test when in November 2023, his former partner, Cassie, came up with damning accusations against him.
The woman who was his girlfriend for years says she was actually a victim of sex trafficking, plied with drugs, and forced to have sex with multiple men.
But while Diddy fiercely denied these allegations, things took an even darker turn as more people came forward, including a resurfaced clip of his ex-girlfriend Gina Hoon, who publicly spoke about her own terrifying experiences with him in 2019.
He had caught me texting another man. We were in his closet and he pushed me and I fell to the ground. He stood over me. He avoided my face, but he started punching me on the side of my head, and I was just covering my face. He stomped on my stomach, took the wind out of my breath. I couldn't breathe, pleading to him can you stop? And he stopped for a little bit. He grabbed my hair from the back and was punching the back of my head.
This degeneracy quickly caught Charlie's attention, and just days later, he unleashed a response that no one saw coming.
From car bombings to assault to abuse to sex trafficking, it's like he's trying to get the platinum trophy for crime. He's committed every crime imaginable, allegedly. It's scary stuff.
And despite Diddy's attempt to salvage his reputation, just 3 months later, shocking footage surfaced showing him physically attacking Cassie. This time, the public backlash was swift, ultimately leading him to issue an apology.
I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted.
To which Charlie had this to say.
He hits rock bottom, he hits women, he hits crack pipes. There's nothing this guy won't hit. The way he immediately starts this apology video is so fucking phony baloney. It's so difficult to reflect on the dark times, but I've got the strength to do that because I'm built different, so I'm going to reflect on the most painful moments of my life. When it comes to strength, I'm like a Super Saiyan being able to sit down and talk about this. And then he goes on about how, it's inexcusable, he's not gonna make any excuses. Brother, your whole fucking career is built around making excuses for your abusive behavior and all of the really fucked up shit you've done. And you are still constantly doing that. Even if it's not you directly making the excuses, you hire your fucking team of lawyers to do it for you to keep yourself out of jail. This is a guy that should have been locked up for life a long time ago.
I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it, I'm disgusted now.
Charlie then gave him a piece of advice.
Turn yourself in then. You take full responsibility for it, you're that disgusted, walk to the nearest police station and turn yourself over.
In September 2024, Diddy was arrested following a grand jury indictment on charges of trafficking and racketeering. Now, as the case unfolds, all eyes are on his upcoming trial, set for May 2025. However, while Diddy finally met his karma, Neil DeGrasse Tyson would generate a lot of hate after making one dumb decision. On August 4th, 2019, Astrophysicist Neil DeGrasse Tyson incurred the internet's wrath after a tweet he posted about the 2019 multiple mass shootings, in which he tried to trivialize the mass shootings by comparing them to some data. He described the situation as, "Often our emotions respond more to spectacle than to data. Since the timing couldn't have been worse, the backlash was swift and unforgiving. You're better than this." Making a didactic, if factually accurate point does not always equate to intelligent or productive discourse, and this was neither intelligent nor productive. Disappointed to read this from you, from a guy who's an astrophysicist with a degree from Harvard. You can be the most obtuse mother effer.
It's like he went so deep into the cosmos that he popped out of the universe's asshole, saw a bunch of shit that he didn't like, re-entered the universe's butthole like a finger during a prostate exam, and now he's just a weird Twitter lunatic. Now, a lot of pseudo-intellectual Redditors were like, oh, why is everyone all upset? He's just spouting facts. And yes, while the statistics he lists here are accurate, although the medical death number there is a little misleading, I recommend you look into that and why it is the way it is right there. It doesn't matter because what his tweet here reads is, it basically just trivializes the mass shootings, which is such a fucked up take.
But while Neil deGrasse Tyson only faced backlash over a single tweet, the next celebrity sparked an all-out war with the hip-hop community after shamelessly stealing the voice of a fallen legend. On April 13th, 2024, Drake and Kendrick Lamar would begin a legendary beef after Kendrick took shots at both Drake and J. Cole on Future and Metro Boomin's track, Like That. But as tensions escalated, Drake would cross a dangerous line by using an AI-generated Tupac vocals in his diss track against Kendrick.
This Canadian light-skinned doc, we need to know the baby West Coast victory, man.
This move angered many in the hip-hop community, with many hip-hop fans calling the move disrespectful and exploitative since Tupac didn't consent to it. Naturally, this disrespect to Tupac legacy caught Charlie's attention.
This goober used an AI Tupac to help assist him in his diss against K-Dot. And I think if you're using AI in your diss track, you automatically take the L. It is so embarrassing to use an AI voice in your diss track. I don't know how that one got greenlit and pushed through. That was some clown behavior.
But while Drake's actions were exploitative, the next celebrity on this list would become the biggest meme on the internet. Twice. On July 8th, 2024, Terrence Howard would share his highly controversial 1x1 theory on the Joe Rogan podcast.
How is it that multiplication, if it means to make more and increase in number, how is 1 times 1 equaling 1 part of the multiplication table? Now, I understand that if you're seeing it one time,
right,
but we call that once. But the moment that you had that add the times in there, that multiplicative indicator, that means there's more than one. So now each equation is supposed to be balanced. You know, that equal sign is supposed to show that there's a balance between these two numbers over here and a balance on this one over here.
Tell me you don't understand math without telling me you don't understand math. And just 6 weeks later, Terrence was back on the Joe Rogan podcast. Not to clarify, but to double down on his outlandish claims.
Terrence has an issue with multiplication. But to the best of my knowledge, you don't have an issue with addition.
I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with multiplication either.
Well, then 1 times 1 is what?
1 times 1 should equal 2.
I need to show this to my employer. 1 paycheck times 1 paycheck is really 2 paychecks. I'm missing out on pay. This reminds me of a crackhead approaching you in public, and you just have to listen to their spiel for a few hours so they don't stab you. And although Terrace would later insist that it was just a metaphor, the damage was already done, making him truly one of the most entitled celebrities that Charlie has ever humbled.